Our first topic of the day will be on the boys soccer team, but what should they work on more, offense or defense? Dylan?
I'm going to say defense because their offense is solid. They're scoring plenty of goals, and they haven't really conceded a lot of goals. So I'm just going to say defense.
I'm going to have to agree with you there. Now, looking at the table, they've only given up 8 goals and scored 22. That's pretty good, right?
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. And now, looking at these other teams that they have yet to face, and Pflugerville Conley, which is their next game, I believe, they've scored 38 and conceded 17. Now, what do you think about that?
Well, Pflugerville, they're definitely a high-scoring team.
And they're undefeated in district.
Yeah, but just because you score a lot of goals doesn't mean you're the better team. I'm gonna say this. So Cedar Creek, they're on top of the table right now. They have 16 goals, and they scored 16 goals, and they've conceded 7 goals. But they're on top of the table, which is crazy because Pflugerville have 38 goals scored and conceded 17. So I think defense is what makes a team great.
Yes.
Because if you're scoring a lot of goals, then that's great. But if you're conceding a lot too, then it kind of like counters that.
Yeah, like for example, honestly, well, this team doesn't have a good offense, but they got a terrible defense. Like Bastrop, they've made 2 goals and conceded 40.
In all competitions, correct?
Yes, sir.
Dang.
0-9, haven't had a single win at all.
Bastrop, work on that defense. Rest in peace. Okay, what's next?
So, now, who is a bigger threat to them in the future?
I'm gonna say Cedar Creek, just because they actually beat us last Friday, correct?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I believe it was 2-1.
And each team plays each other twice, right, in the season?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely gonna be Cedar Creek. Pflugerville Connolly, yeah, they score a lot of goals, but they concede a lot. So they need to work on their defense too. But I'm gonna say Cedar Creek. They're gonna be the biggest threat. They're still undefeated. They close out games. They just get the results that they need. They don't play in the style that is high scoring, but they just get the results they need. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna say Cedar Creek.
Well, I do agree with you that Cedar Creek is a good team, but honestly, they got to watch out for Pflugerville because Pflugerville has the #1 offense in the district, and they're tied with Cedar Creek for the top spot in our district, and they're both undefeated, so they got some real good players. And Conley, they did make it to the state tournament last year, but they lost in the first round. But it's still pretty good because think about it, it's real hard to make state.
That's true.
So Conley, they got a lot of good returning players this year. They only I believe they only lost like maybe like 5 seniors, and a lot of them returned and all that. And some of the seniors weren't even starters, so they got a lot of chemistry and a lot of experience back on that team this year. So if you think about it, I think they're the most experienced team in this district.
Okay, that's a good point. Moving on.
Okay, so now moving on to the girls team. Now first of all, the girls team right now, they are overall 3-5-1. So right now it's not looking too good, but they can still pull it off. But what is to blame for this not so good start?
It's gonna be definitely the defense. That defense, they have conceded 18 goals overall and only scored 5 goals. So that's a big. So that's a negative 13 goal differential. And if you don't know what goal differential is, it's the goals scored and you subtract that by the goals conceded. So they have a negative 13 goal differential, and that's really bad. And they're a fourth place team right now. And for a fourth place team, that's pretty darn bad. If you look at Eastview, who are fourth place in the boys table, their goal differential is still positive. And if you have a negative goal differential as a fourth place team, that's not good at all.
Well, right now, the only reason they're in fourth place right now is because all their wins have come in district. Like,
That's true.
let's be honest. The beginning of the season did not start off well. Like,
No, not at all.
Like they went 0-2, 0-3, I believe, in outside games. So yeah, but okay. So, in my opinion, honestly, let's be honest. Like, they lost a lot of players this past off season. They lost a lot. They lost a lot of seniors, and a lot of the seniors that were supposed to come back, they decided to skip their senior season and move on to bigger things like going to college and everything. Like Kayla, who was real good, she decided to go to Texas Tech, and great for her, but yeah, they lost her. She was a great player, and we lost Bailey Ford, so yeah. And then last year they had a great team. Like they made a great playoff run. That's pretty good, but they lost a lot of seniors if you think about, So, now, our next topic. So, what should they work on more, offense or defense?
Like I said, it's going to be the defense. Defense wins championships. And I don't think that they could make it to the playoffs if they're conceding that many goals. I don't see them making it to the playoffs. And if they do make it to the playoffs, which would be great, but if they're conceding that many goals in the regular season, they have to make sure that they actually improve on that defense if they do make it to the playoffs. Because if you're conceding that many goals, then in the playoffs you're not gonna make it that far.
Well, Dylan, that's a great point, but I have to disagree with you there. Like, honestly, if you look at this, they've scored 5 goals to 18, and honestly, you got to work on that offense, because in my opinion, to give your team a chance to win the game, you have to score. And you can, even if they make all these ties, like, okay, they have 1 tie right now, and that tie was 0-0. I don't know against who, but I remember that. And then this past win against Cedar Creek, it wasn't a big win, like a 4-0 win or something like that. It was like a 1-0. So they got to be able to score more. And honestly, Cedar Creek could have probably tied that game like that and made it a 1-1 tie. So honestly, they gotta work on that offense more, because your team's not gonna, because your defense is not gonna hold on forever. They're not gonna be able to hold that best offense out there forever. They're gonna get tired. So, and think about this: Rouse 27 goals to 4. They have a good offense. Cedar Park 19-2. And Cedar Park last year, they were blowing teams away, like winning 13-0 games, 13-1 games. And that team, they won this past game between the two 3-0. So there you go.
You know what? I want to argue that, because look at Cedar Creek in the boys table. They haven't scored the most goals compared to Pflugerville or Georgetown. Georgetown has 14 goals scored in district. Cedar Creek, who's first place and undefeated, they scored 13 goals, and then Pflugerville, Connolly, who's in second place, they have 23 goals. But it's the defense that comes into play the most. All you need to do is score a couple of goals and just hold on to that lead for the rest of the game. That's all you really need. That's personally what I think, but that's a good point.
Dylan, if you look at this, look, even these bottom teams, they have more goals than Georgetown, and they have a decent team, but it's the goals that they're conceding and all that, and they're not able to match these goals that these other teams are able to produce and all that. So look at here, Elgin and Bastrop, they've each scored 12 goals, which is better than Georgetown, who's only scored 5 overall. And also right here, Eastview, they scored 13. Connolly, they've scored 27. Cedar Creek, they've scored 27. And of course they're all below them, but they have good offenses. It's just that if you look at the goal differential, that's their problem. They're not able to match the goals that in the game, because you can't expect to win a 1-0 game every single day. You have to be able to produce.
But let's agree on this. It's pretty crazy that if you only scored 5 goals and all the lower teams below you have scored more than you, besides Elgin, it's crazy that you're even 4th place. And they only scored 9 goals. No, they scored 5 goals and conceded 9. So they have in district, Georgetown has a -4 goal differential. That's pretty crazy to be up there with a negative goal differential.
So all their goals have come in district.
Yeah,
basically.
And Hutto is pretty much the opposite of Georgetown. They have scored 9 goals in district and conceded 5. So that's pretty cool, though.
So our final topic of the day is going to be on the girls team. Now, what do you think about their playoff hopes? Do you think they still have a good chance, or are they like borderline?
We're talking about girls, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for girls, I think they could make the playoffs. It's for me, it's 50-50. So if they do make the playoffs, I don't think they're gonna make it out of the first round because of the defense, because they're conceding a lot of goals. And when you're in playoffs, you have to work on that defense. You can't be conceding a lot of goals. So that's my opinion, but it's 50-50. If they do make it, I don't think they're gonna make it that far. If they don't, I wouldn't be that surprised, because they do have a negative goal differential, and having a negative goal differential does not help in the playoffs or in the regular season at all.
Well, I think they can make it. Like, they have a good chance. They have a good chance. Right now they're sitting at 4th, and right now the top 4 teams do go to playoffs. But you know, there is a chance that they won't make it.
Yes.
But right now I think they can, if they can just hold on. But like we said earlier, they have to get better. They have to get better on the offense. They have to get better on the defense too. But honestly, even if they make the playoffs, it's not going to get easier from there on. It's going to get harder and harder. So each team that they face is going to get tougher. And they're going to have to be able to learn from each game of what to do and what not to do.
All right, well, that concludes the show. You guys should definitely check out maxpreps.com or get the Max Preps app, because that's where we get all these stats from. Have a great day, guys.
See you next week. If you like that video and you want to see more, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to join the notification squad.